Welcome back, everybody. I'm your host for today, Nate, here with my co-host, Whitney. And we're here for a special edition of the podcast. We're going to be talking about our school resource officer unit. Here with Sergeant Josh, who I think is newly a sergeant since last time you were here. I didn't get to be here for your last interview, but you've done this before.
Yep.
And then, obviously, I've got an interview with Takesha on the podcast before. So I guess we're talking to y'all and about the unit in general because we are starting school back. We're on day 2 of school.
Three.
Three.
Day
okay,
3.
so y'all started back on Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
Yes.
Yep.
How is it going?
I mean, pretty smooth, actually. I mean, it's...
You don't get the PC answer.
No, it really
my wife's
is.
a teacher.
Yeah.
I got kids in school. It's day 2 for us, and smooth is not like...
It's always a
word
little
I'd use.
crazy. People are a little not used to the traffic, so there's lots of traffic complaints coming in.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that probably won't matter next week when
Right.
people are used to it again. We had Officer Williams make an arrest on the first day. So for a vape
Parent
pen.
or student?
Student.
Okay.
Yeah. Just kind of setting the tone for the year.
Yeah.
So far, I haven't heard of anything crazy yet. So,
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the biggest thing in the first week of school is just literally traffic. A lot of
Yeah.
traffic complaints. Parents don't understand they're not the only parent that's dropping their kid off. So,
Really?
little patience or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And high school parents wanting to walk their kids through the front door.
Okay,
So-
good. We can fight about this then.
Yeah.
Because I have an 11-year-old, and I went into straight just, I don't even know what you call it, mode, like soccer mom mode, I guess. And like really salty. They didn't let me walk him to class.
it's-
I was griping about it to my wife, and Chris, she's a teacher, and she's just listening to me. She's like, "Oh no, you're one of them." I was like, "I'm special, damn it." But yeah, that was a little heartbreaking because I get to drop all the other ones off, and then it's like, "Oh no, you just go be free."
Yeah, I think times have changed for
drastically.
it's definitely a safety thing.
Yeah.
Because we can't let all parents into the building, especially at that time. At the time you're walking in, you at least for high school you have like thousands of parents, and I
Right.
can only imagine at the middle school it's like 800 plus parents probably
Yeah.
wanting to walk their kids in there and trying to get everybody
Yeah.
safely into the building. So
and then how do you know that they get out?
yeah,
Right.
How
Oh,
do you
yeah.
can't? There's no check-in, no check-out. So somebody that has bad intent, they could just hang out in the school and
Yeah. I don't know how hands-on the supervision or the chain of command is with our department as far as the ISD goes, as far as safety plans and whatnot go. But I know from just doing other things in the past where you think, hey, I have this plan in place or that plan in place. I'm going to set a guy here or there to increase safety, and you think that's sufficient. But then you sit down like in a quiet room, you really put pen to paper and start trying to identify, vulnerabilities. It takes on a whole new look when you realize just how many vulnerabilities you might have.
for sure.
How much does that play into your role?
The SROs are so good at what they do. They don't take a whole lot of supervision. I was never an SRO, so I got assigned in January. So that last half of the year, I was pretty much just kind of trying to figure out what it is that they do, so then I even know where to make changes, if any. And they just run their stuff. I mean, each campus is a little city of its own, and each administration is going to want different things, and each SRO is going to want different things, and so it's just kind of finding that balance between, for the SROs, trying to show kids that it's like bridging that gap between kids and law enforcement, because you're going to have parents that are not saying kind things about officers and stuff like that, but these officers have an opportunity to be able to show something else.
Yeah.
So, and if you want how people to view law enforcement to change 5-10 years from now, it starts in the schools.
Right.
And and the hard work that they do. So, kind of go back to your question. I mean, yes, when you zoom out, you try to implement some safety changes, but a lot of it is kind of intuitive for these guys because they've done it so long. And like I said, each school has different vulnerabilities. So rely heavily on them, and they come to me and say, hey, this is something that I get that all the time. The SROs are coming to me saying, hey, this is kind of a safety thing, whether it's traffic or people crossing the road, or they bring it to me and then we try to attack it from the school district side too.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm sure, especially like the door being left open in a lot of the past couple of years is a huge thing.
yeah, we track all that.
That's what I was going to ask is, do y'all ever find yourselves, because I imagine traditionally you are going to be in a pretty collaborative role with the teachers and staff, but do you ever find yourselves when you're having to kind of be that check on safety where you're not adversarial necessarily, but you're almost like a authority figure to the staff members in a way of having to kind of check them and make sure they're following the proper guidelines?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, most staff members and teachers are already given that information in terms of, hey, classroom doors are to remain closed and locked during classroom time.
Right.
And then outside doors should be closed at all time. And if you see anything, let an admin or security know. Us as SROs over the last few years, especially after Uvalde, we've kind of implemented the security in terms of door checking. So every SRO on a daily basis is tasked with walking your campus to make sure, one, there's no doors left open, no one's, putting anything in the doors, or kids aren't walking outside of doors. And so now that we track it, through dispatch, we put ourselves on a close patrol routine for our campus to make sure we are doing the daily door checks.
Right. And just for anyone who's is not their business to know, the Uvalde situation was, if I remember correctly, was kind of initiated by an exterior door being left open.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of many issues there, for sure. Yep, and that's we also the SSOs, the school safety officers, which are they're technically Grand Prairie ISD employees. They're all prior military or prior law enforcement, and they satisfy that legislative requirement to have an armed guard in each school.
Right.
And so they cover all the elementary schools. Our SROs cover middle and high schools.
Okay.
We do their firearms training. We equip them with body armor and their duty belt and a gun if they want to. Otherwise, they bring their own gun. But they also do routine door checks, and we track those for our purposes as well. And so, we did extremely well. And then anytime they find something, they immediately get it fixed. So if there's a door that's broken, that day they put in a work order, and then the ISD gets over there and fixes it usually that day. So it's actually a really good system to make sure that the school's at least secure as far as entry points.
Yeah.
And I say just to implement a new rule district-wide with a group of people who've been doing their jobs for who knows how long, and simply the human aspect of not forgetting. Like propping doors open, that's something they might have done not thinking about it, and unfortunately we don't know sometimes what our vulnerabilities are until they get exploited.
Sure. I mean, you have outside contractors coming in to fix something.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll prop the door because they don't want to keep getting buzzed back in, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
And like with the teachers, I know going back, they have a lot of professional development things. I know the beginning convocation, all these different gatherings. Are you all ever a part of those things, or do they have special moments for you all to talk about some things to kind of be aware of, to kind of set them off, or are they just more so focused with administration, telling them, like, trickle down? You talk to administration, they talk to the educators.
I will say in my experience, in terms of the convocation, we're there just in security aspect. Like you said, each individual campus and administrator works differently. So in the past, I've worked at a middle school where I worked closely with that administration. So when we did have a teacher meeting or development on campus, I was invited to speak about safety and the things that we were going to be looking for in that year. So it can, right? It depends on that administrator and how they want their campus run. Some will, some may not. But I think this year we're trying to implement something where each campus is being able to either speak with Sergeant Stelter or their SRO to talk about what are those expectations for the year in terms of security.
Yeah, and I contacted a few principals, and that's that's a big part of my job, is making sure that I develop those relationships with administrators, so that if there's an issue that comes up with an SRO, or there's something that they don't quite understand, or even to kind of relieve some of the pressure off the SROs, because what does happen at times is the SROs are there for a specific reason, and that is the safety of the children and criminal activity, right? So sometimes there's some blending that administration wants them to do, where they want them to handle disciplinary issues. And we draw a hard line there where we are not partaking of that, because that is, again, the whole idea is we're supposed to be bridging this gap and trying to show kids that cops are people too, and that there's nothing to fear, and they need to be able to develop those relationships. And if the SROs are part of that school discipline thing, it just doesn't work. So, that's up to me to be able to take that off of them. And that way, if they say, hey, I'm not going to do that because it's a school disciplinary issue, it can create some issues between administration and the SROs, because they just don't want to do their job. But if I go tell them, be like, look, this is in the memorandum of understanding, and I'm not going to have my people do that. It takes it off them, because they have to. It's so important to have such a good relationship between the school resource officers and the administration, because they're a team there to make sure that all the kids are safe and that they can get a good education. So if that relationship has some tension, it's not good for the kids. So if I can go in, be the bad guy, draw the line, and then step back out, they can still have their positive relationship. So that's kind of where we try to do that, but we also try to make sure all the administration knows what our role is, because it can create issues where a teacher may ask for some help with a discipline issue and the SRO says no. Well, now the administrator doesn't feel supported, because they're like, well, why aren't they helping us? Well, they shouldn't be. They can't. So as long as everybody's role is clear, it kind of eliminates those issues.
Are you able to elaborate on what a common discipline issue is where there might be that kind of conflict? Because obviously, they're not talking about hey, can you come spank this kid or something crazy like that. But what's a common point of conflict that you see?
I would say a lot of times is the kids not wanting to listen to administrators if it's like, hey, your phone needs to be up. And so now we've implemented this cell phone policy where kids can't have their cell phone out. You see a lot of that, right? Because kids are like, you ain't going to take my phone, right? And so that kid may walk off, and immediately they're like, hey, SRO, can you help us? Again, that's out of the scope of what we do, because we're not going to take a kid's cell phone property from them for you guys. What I've come to see is that when you build relationships with kids, so for example, like I've been in that situation where admin's having an issue with a kid and a cell phone, and kid walks off. Well, I built a relationship with that kid, so they may call me on the radio, and I'm not going to personally take that kid's phone, but because I built that relationship, we can have a conversation, and I can lay out like, hey, this is what the consequences are going to look at, and you can just be respectful, be obedient, do what he says. You're going to get it back at the end of the day. And so sometimes having that conversation, even though I'm in a authoritative, position, that student will listen, because we built that relationship where it's not like I'm trying to insert my authority to say, hey, I'm going to take your property. It's like, hey, you still have the right to make the right decision, but building positive relationships with our kids does help the admin in those situations.
They become a mediator almost between the two. And again, if the SROs were enforcing those administrative rules as well, they wouldn't be able to develop those relationships. I remember, in fact, it was with Takesha. I went over and checked on her when she was over at a basketball game, and we're like walking in between gyms, and all the players are coming through the hall. All the varsity players were coming through. We're going the opposite way. Takesha starts naming kids by name. They're yelling at her from down the hall. There's a little trash talk going on between them. She's like, "You gonna make your free throws tonight or not?" It was cool. I mean, it was just it was neat to see that respect and that relationship between the kids and the SROs.
That's awesome. And I imagine that's a difficult thing to achieve, because you talked earlier about how you have the overall societal opinion of policing that has it ebbs and flows over the years. I look back when I first started policing, to 2011, 2012, It was rough. It got rougher, and it got better, then it got So it seems like it kind of goes back and forth. But you even beyond just the societal implications, you have guys, depending on where your school is, who their parents literally may have gone to jail over the weekend. Because we always talk about how the weekends are our busiest times, and we're going to these houses, we're having to take people to jail for a wide variety of offenses, oftentimes involving family. Most of those people have kids, and most of those kids are going to school somewhere. So you're kind of having to overcome that too, where it's like Saturday night, one of y'all was in my house and took my dad away, who may or may not have bonded out yet, and now you're having to interact with that kid and kind of create that normalcy. Do you ever come across that, or you ever have kids verbalize that to you, where it's like, hey, I've just had these interactions with the cops? Can you walk me through it, explain it, or whatever?
I've had a kid in talking come up to me just say, Ashadai, my dad got arrested last night.
Really?
And they're not asking for anything. They're not asking for any information. They just wanted to tell me. And for whatever reason, they felt comfortable to do so. Right. And I think I haven't had so much of a kid be in that situation and then ask, hey, can you give me some information about that?
Sure.
A lot of times we find it out through certain things. And in that event, like if I do come across that information, I would try to use that in terms of building a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So try to comfort that kid, because like you said, 9 times out of 10, we're serving in a mediator or almost like a counseling position where we're having to have conversations to talk kids through these decisions and making the right decisions. And right. So, no, I haven't had that personally, but I've had kids come and tell me, hey, a family member of mine got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that's a good position to be in, to at least say and verbalize what happened. I remember for me growing up, when the police did come over and arrest my dad, I didn't have the option of going to a cop. It would be more so, cops are enemies, so just not going to say anything. Mm-hmm. So to know that you're physically present in the school at least gives that, you're not telling me what to say, but it's my option if I wanted to come and tell you that, to at least verbalize it and get it out if I can't do that within my social circle. So that's really cool that you all are there and on campus.
Yeah, because I think the one time it did happen, it was a female student, and I think her brother was at South, and he got into some altercation that I think he was looking at some jail time. And so she did tell me, like, hey, my brother got arrested. And you could visibly see that she was, shaken. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so you use that opportunity sometime as an officer to build relationships, right? To kind of explain to them that, hey, it's going to be all right. Mm-hmm. Whatever the situation is, to try to talk them through that, even though she was scared in that situation of what's going to happen to her brother. So,
yeah. Now, how long have you been an SRO now?
I think I'm going into 10 years.
Oh, wow.
So old.
I know. I know. I am going into, I think, almost 10 years of being an SRO.
Man, and the reason I ask is because, we talked repeatedly about kind of bridging these gaps and creating these relationships. It's a really nice thing to say. It sounds super something you could put on a poster and put in an office, right? But on the ground, I'm sure it's a little bit different. It's a little grittier than the way it just sounds like, yeah, I'm going to create a relationship. And the reason I bring that up is because I have a kid who's around a little older than how long you've been an SRO, and I hear, I try to relate to him on things, and I hear the way he talks to his friends and the different things they're interested in, and I'm lost. I completely and totally, they're using slang that I've never heard before. They're I'd sit down and try to watch him play Roblox and stuff, and just to kind of bond with him about stuff, and I just zero idea of what he's doing 90% of the time. How has it been evolving kind of with the kids, or do you find it challenging that so much of the culture has changed as far as the newer generation now versus, say, when you started a decade ago? Because the kids you started with are about to be 30. Mm-hmm. So that's a big difference between the kids you're dealing with now. Yeah,
I would say, I think, in being an SRO, you get to see the kids. And so I'll use this for example. I started at Young Women's quite some time ago. And so some of the kids that were 6th grade when I first started there, who are now juniors. Mm-hmm. And so you've seen them come through, you've seen them grow up. And so when things are changing, you learn. We know COVID kind of affected our kids in a lot of ways, especially socially. And so you understand that aspect of how they communicate with one another. Most of it is via text message. It's slang, right? And so the big thing that came out was like crashing out last year and the year before that. Oh, I'm a crash out,
As a term.
As a term,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a bad thing.
Yeah. And
Like-
then so the first time I heard it, I was like, crash out? What is crash out? And the kid was like, man, I'm going to crash out. I'm going to crash out. And I'm like,
That sounds
okay,
fun.
help me understand what's crash out.
Help me understand.
And so in turn, now if I see a kid acting out in the hallway, and I'm like, dude, why are you crashing out? And they look at me
Right.
like, what? And I'm
Yeah.
like, so you just learn to adapt.
Yeah.
One, and I think it makes it relatable to them because now they feel like, okay, now you're speaking my language.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. Like crash out was a big one last year, and so I just in turn just use that. Anytime I see a kid and they're giving the admin, some problems or whatever, I'm like, dude, why you crashing out? Relax. And they'll look because now they feel like, okay,
Yeah.
now she's
Yeah.
And I got to be careful going into schools because I don't know that anymore, and I'll probably be like word up to somebody, and it's like it ain't gonna land.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not gonna
gnarly.
land. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, my 9-year-old used cap in a completely unironic, not
Yeah.
sarcastic kind of way. I was like, shut up.
That means it's not true. Not
Yeah,
being
like
honest.
you're just
Yeah.
lying. Like,
Yeah.
just say they're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting, especially with my older boy because he wants to fit in with everybody. And like we went to pick up his schedule the other day, and he's a good looking kid. And all the little girls are walking by him, like waving at him and stuff. And every once in a while, he's like seeking a peek at me. I'm like, I see you. I had a question.
Well, see, since you mentioned that, I'm going to take the opportunity to ask the question because you mentioned your son. Relationships. Because in school, all this relationships, and it could be a week, a day, a month. So getting back in the rhythm of school, when I'm thinking about teen dating, violence, or even just some toxic relationships, like how does that impact you all as SROs when just thinking about different type of relationships in school with young people and our youth?
I mean, it's similar to just out on the streets. I mean, there is dating violence. There is things are fine until they break up, and then people want to make reports about past stuff, and then even down into the middle schools and stuff like that, where we have social media threats coming through because someone broke up, or suicide threats. So those relationship dynamics, and then especially as they get a little bit older and puberty and all that stuff, it kind of blows up a little bit. So it's similar to out on the streets, and I think they do a great job of not minimizing their feelings because it is big for them.
Yeah.
And you can't just be like, "Hey, it's kitty love, get over it." Like it's their
Dude, that's a struggle for me.
The
Like, and I'm
world.
obviously not an SRO, but as a parent, my knee-jerk reaction is like, come on, it's not that big of a deal. You're not, and it's not the right approach to take.
yeah. I mean, it's the biggest thing going on in their world at the moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's
And oftentimes the first time they've experienced it.
sure. Yep. Yeah. So like even on those threats, that's a big thing that we have to deal with quite often, especially around testing time because they'll try to get school canceled by calling in a shooting threat or whatever. So
We always make jokes about it, but never actually didn't know people follow through on it that often.
yeah, it's kind of like yelling bomb at an airport now.
Right.
Like it's you just don't. There is no talking about it. There's no joking about it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's one thing that I'm trying to bring to the unit as well with my investigative experience is getting all the SROs up to a investigative level where they can handle these school shooting threats. Everything's coming through social media,
Right.
trying to get everybody trained up on those type of investigations because really the SROs are the best ones they can most effectively work those investigations because
Absolutely.
they know the kids, they know who the kids hang out with, they know maybe what's going on in their personal lives, so it's far and away. I mean, the difference between a patrol officer getting that call and trying to investigate it and the SROs being able to investigate it, we can do it much faster.
Absolutely.
Just being able to use the relationships that they built, and we'll have patrol call me saying, hey, we've got this threat, and I'll be like, well, let me call the SRO, and the SRO will be like, oh, I know exactly who that's going to be, and like
Well, because what
It's
happens
huge.
is you have patrol. They show up to a call. They go to write the report. They then talk to y'all, who y'all have more familiarity. Y'all try to translate some of that y'all's familiarity back to the patrol. Patrol then finishes the report. It gets approved. It goes to someone like me, or majors or whoever gets assigned the case, who then gets back in contact with the SRO to kind of re-get your take. Streamlining it would.
So that's what we're
absolutely-
doing. We're trying to take that all onto us. And so ultimately, my ideal would be that we're even, quasi on call to the point of after hour stuff where it's like, hey, again, who is the group of people that could most efficiently and effectively investigate these cases? And so we're even going to keep them in-house. We've got a couple SROs that are already trained up on case filing. So we've kind of got our own little investigative unit going so that they don't even have to go out to another unit. You don't have to re-victimize anybody. You don't have to, we can just deal with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's kind of what we get too many narcotics arrests to be able to do that.
Right.
Just way too many. But
Yeah.
on some of these others that need more investigating, it just makes way more sense for us to hold on to them.
Yeah.
Way better.
I know y'all. It was a few years ago. I was assigned the 30s, and something about the 30s in particular. I just got a lot of cases with school age kids and suspects, and the SRO unit just made numerous cases for me.
Oh, they make cases for homicide all the time. I think
it's amazing.
last year, like within the last 6 months, Officer Jackson's found or figured out who 2 murder suspects were. So it's just these guys know their school so well.
Yeah, it's like talking to an old school cop, where it's like that cop was used to having this area right here.
He was in the
knew
beat for
everything.
15 years. He knew everybody. He knew their aunts and uncles and their kids and all
Oscar.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who still will not, or at least last I checked, will not come on and talk to us.
Really?
I wish he would
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. He'd be a good one.
Yeah, when we first started this, he was the first one I called.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
You'll need more storage.
Well, for
The
sure.
man can talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could take a bathroom break and he can come back and pick right back up.
Yeah. He's got a wealth of knowledge for sure.
I was going to ask about the investigations portion of the SRO unit because obviously it's necessary. Where do you, as far as kind of trying to centralize things in the SRO unit, where do you see kind of y'all's line being as far as what y'all are able to or willing to investigate? Because obviously there's certain things you're not going to.
Right. So, child crime stuff, sexual assault type of things, we will push those on to child crimes because they just have the expertise and the time and stuff like that to be able, maybe not even the time, they're slammed. But, we can't leave campus to go take kids for forensic interviews and stuff like that because we have to be in the campus. So we don't do a whole lot on those. We try to work with them as much as we can, gather as much information for them as we can to try to help them out. But, my time in majors allows me to do anything that's not sex crimes related or child abuse related. We can, all the school threats and stuff like that, we could take that, from start to finish, no problem. So we've even got a couple guys that are quite good at doing, we'll get them over to the district court judges and stuff like that to get social media warrants signed and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, we'll just run the whole thing.
Oh, very cool.
From beginning to end.
Very nice.
Yep.
I was going to ask too, as far as your role adjustment. I know you're obviously you're doing good things. You're getting guys spun up on the investigative side of things, but when people think about policing, there's obviously there's a few different things they think about. They think about the car chases. They think about shootings. There's a way more to the job. But obviously one of the things that everyone talks about is you talk to the new kid in high school. I want to promote to detective one day. I'm promoted to detective. Well, the upper echelon of being a detective is investigating a murder. Obviously, that's on my bucket list. To I don't know if I'll ever do it or not, but something you did fairly routinely for a lot of years. What's the adjustment been like? I've been to a bunch of murder scenes, but never haven't been the investigator. I've always watched y'all, and it's always real impressive to watch the operation under the pressure and whatnot. From a mental perspective, how do you adjust from doing something that's that high stakes? Not to diminish what you're doing, but it's you don't have that same time crunch. You don't have that same I need if I walk away from here, if I miss a shell casing, if I'm
stakes are very high.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you make that adjustment, or have you noticed much of one?
It was interesting. The initial transition back into patrol, there was an adjustment phase because I just didn't really care about much, because nothing seemed. I mean, okay, so the guy rolled the stop sign. Do I care?
Gotcha.
Like
Yeah.
when you're doing those types of investigations, but you do have to recalibrate because you just have to kind of be like, okay, this is my role now. That was my role then. This is my role now, and then dive into it. So, and then transitioning into the school resource unit, I did, and I still believe that I don't have what they have. That thing about them that they can relate to kids, they can talk to kids, they understand it. I don't necessarily feel like I possess that. I don't think I'd be a very good SRO at all. I feel it'd just be bad. But it's nice to be able to facilitate things for them because most of my job is administrative and relationship building and stuff like that, and I can excel at that stuff. But it's just, again, knowing your role. It's just changing. I didn't really have a strong interest ever in being an SRO. And then when this position opened, it's just different. It's different responsibilities. There's room for growth. There's, I saw an opportunity to try to make some changes. Anytime I go into my kid's school, I look at the SRO and I am up and I'm like, is my kid safe?
Yeah,
And I want to know that my kid's safe. And I want every parent to come into a Grand Prairie school, look at their SRO and be like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like if anything bad happens, that guy's got it or that girl's got it. So that's been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Just trying to elevate the unit. We had a meeting and I told everybody, I was like, hey, look, when you enter a specialized unit, you're promising to be a subject matter expert on that subject, whatever that is, whether it's auto theft or homicide or property crimes or whatever. This is my interest, and I'm going to do things outside of work and everything to try to excel in this. And we've got a good group of people that's what they want now. And so it, makes my job easier, and it's my job now to try to point us in a direction that excels and then provide them all the opportunity and the tools to get the training that they need and be properly equipped to handle whatever we need to. Mm-hmm. So God forbid if something ever happened in Grand Prairie, it's going to be very different than it was in Uvalde. Mm. So it's going to be over as quickly as it starts.
Yeah.
So.
That brings up a good point. Like talking about being a subject matter expert, that's one thing for property or majors or traffic or any other unit where you leave or you log in your computer, whatever the case is, you're kind of get hit in the face with what you need to be prepared for, what you need to address. But as an SRO, I imagine it's a lot different because ideally you will never have to perform the thing that you most severely need to be prepared for.
That's why we're actually, for the first time ever in the school resource unit, we're going to add a higher qualification standard to get into the unit, and then same for a physical fitness standard. Okay. So we're kind of working out the details on all that now. And again, it's kind of like, it's hard to make, it is a balancing act because there's, again, most of the job, 99.9% of the job is going to be building relationships and being personable, and
right.
You can't have a heavy-handed officer.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's going to be able to talk their way out of things and be able to relate to kids. But it's that 0.1%. If that day comes, you have to act as though that you knew it was going to happen every day.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because God cares about his children, and you are specifically there to make sure that they're safe.
Yeah.
So, the group that we have now is very good, and they do stay.
That's I would think anyway, a hard crossover to find if you're looking for people, because in our profession, at least when I was coming up, we tend to look at people as like, hey, you're the community policing type, you're the give stickers to kid types, or you're the one who's kicking doors and doing felony stops. It was very binary. Mm-hmm. There's some in between, but to find someone who, I don't need an in-between person. I don't need this person who's just kicking doors. I don't need this person who's just being friendly. But I need someone who's going to be friendly, but then can be the most violent in response. More so even than your dope chasers or whoever else likes to think they're Billy Badass. that's it's such a unique thing to be able to find. I would think if I'm taking applications.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, and it's that's where recruiting from the SROs is a big deal.
Yeah.
I want them to, because they don't work. SROs don't work like normal units. Where you get that tight unit camaraderie because you're in the same room all the time, always
Right.
talking. You're on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, we do most of our meetings on Zoom because we can't leave the schools to meet, and y'all will go months without seeing people from other schools easily.
That was when I applied several months ago, or probably a year or so more now. That was one of the things that my hesitations that gave me the most pause. Like, man, am I ready to lose that camaraderie?
And you can get that in the high schools. You have that with Jackson.
Oh yeah, I think each high school has that still,
Yeah.
because it's 2 at the main campus, and then you have 1 at Alexander, and then Fine Arts Academy. But for myself at Officer and Jackson, like, we have that camaraderie, so you
Sure.
don't lose it. At the middle school, it's kind of tough because you're there by yourself.
Right.
But I mean, we have our group chat where we're always talking to each other throughout the day, so
Yeah.
you don't lose contact with them, right? And then our Zoom meetings. But I think we still are a pretty close group because you have some of us that are working the Explorer program. You build that camaraderie within the unit for that program, and then you have the summer camp crew. You have, so we still have some level of camaraderie, I would like to think, within the unit, here and there.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think that was highlighted definitely. This was my first summer with the unit. I mean, everything's my first, really.
Yeah.
It's my first day,
Everything.
Yeah.
The
But
other day was?
yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah. So the SROs, put on for years now. Have put on a summer sports camp, and there was 200 kids that showed up.
Wow.
And it was like,
Very cool.
I thought I knew what it was going to be about, and then I got there, and I'm like, I don't know how y'all do that. And they do it for 3 weeks. So
wow.
it's every day for 3 weeks, 200 kids. They do football and soccer. They split up to do football and soccer. Then they do basketball in the afternoons. They make sure that the ISD ends up providing them meals.
Very cool.
It's a huge ordeal, and they work very well together. And that's kind of fun to watch them actually get to hang out together
Yeah.
for a change.
That's cool. Actually, it's really nice interviewing both of y'all because there's like the 5th question in a row that I usually try to think about how I'm going to work it in, and y'all just kind of start answering. So I'm just over here just crossing
Summer
them off.
camp. That was like
Yep.
summer.
And
Yes, yes.
although it didn't completely answer, so we're talking about obviously getting back to school. We're coming from summer.
Yep.
Okay, so we know summer camps. Y'all have some sports stuff y'all do for 3 weeks. That's not the full summer though. So what do y'all generally look at as far as teachers? Everybody gets out of school. Hey, it's vacation. Obviously, y'all still have a job to do. But what is that job?
Yeah.
So it varies, right? Because even though school years close, districts close, they have summer school. So there's a level of summer schools there, and then a lot of elementary schools now have summer camp. And so we have lots of kids at certain elementary locations, so we're having to staff that. And so we do still work with the ISD throughout the summer. So we do station because the high schools do have summer school. And so for those kids that struggled throughout the school year, now they're tasked with summer school. And so we will have an officer at those campuses because there's kids in the building. And so if there's kids in the building, there's staff. And so we need to have an officer in the building. And so that's what we typically do in terms of ISD, working with the ISD throughout the summer. I think as a unit, the summer we get to do a lot of training, knowing that we're not able to leave the campus during the school year. That kind of limits us to the training that we need, and so we try to do most of that during the summer. So our in-service training, this summer we did rifle quals, with the range being open some part of the summer, you're able to go out and go to the range, whereas during the school year, you're not able to leave your campus and go, practice. And so we're able to do a lot of that here in the summer.
So a lot of your trainings that you're required to keep up as a police officer every set
Yes.
period.
And then we're trying to, grow that as well. I'm wanting. I think that there's no reason why in 4 or 5 years the SROs, again, getting back to being subject matter experts, the SROs I would like to be teaching alert. Because that's the interest that they should have, and that's where we should be. We should be experts on the team movement, and the reunification standards, and it's just so
Alert, and sorry to cut you off. Alert being for anyone
The
not
active
familiar.
shooter training.
Yeah, state mandated active shooter training to get
Yep.
everyone on the same page.
Correct. And that will be like the bare minimum that the SROs, that's the bare minimum standard that the SROs are going to be at. And Grand
Makes
Prairie
sense,
does a good
yeah.
job anyway, being higher than that level. But, you know, with FIFA coming next year, it's putting a damper on some of my training plans. But,
Oh, sure.
you know, getting back to the summer, they did Unify GP, where they, you know, Takesha was like the main one for that, where they organize like little visits. They take a group of kids and they take them, you know, to the judges. They take them to the city court. They take them over to City Hall. They just show them
cool.
the whole, everything about city government. We had the Explorer Academy. So that's bringing, you know, kids into that program, which is a program where they'll kind of like baby cops. Well, they'll train once a week. So that's why they have like a 2-week academy, a 1 or 2 week academy. It got trimmed this year, where they can kind of spin them up a little bit. And then, you know, throughout the summer, those guys, they wear uniforms, they wear duty belts, and then they'll go throughout the Metroplex and even down to Houston, San Antonio, to do competitions against other explorers. So where they
cool.
have scenario-based stuff where the explorers need to perform as officers. We had Teen Academy, which is kind of just a showcasing of the department. That we got big plans for as well. I think we're going to expand the ages on that. And we kind of want to go like way over the top with that. Like I'd like to get SWAT to do a vehicle takedown scenario. I'd like DPS 101 to come fly in. Like we just kind of want to.
Oh, they would
like
love that.
from a like putting on a a show, but like putting on like a demonstration.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Like just demo. And again, it's
I,
about.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world. In my mind, we were putting the kids in the car for the vehicle takedown.
I mean,
Kids.
maybe
thanks.
maybe after a drawing, you can sign.
Parents sign
If,
this waiver.
if you're going to sign this waiver, we'll do a vehicle takedown with you in it. And then the other thing is too that these guys don't get off during the school year, so we're running at bare minimum right now when it comes to staffing, as everybody is. Right?
So that's a misconception. Just because it's summer doesn't mean you're
Oh,
not.
we're easily just as busy. We were covering 12 to 14 campuses every day, plus trying to do all these other things.
During
And not
summer.
only that,
Oh wow.
not only that, trying to get, if they have 9 months out of the year where they can't take off, we have to, like, I'm really trying to push and approve as much people's time off as possible
Right.
because they're going to lose it.
Yeah.
Because you've got max vacation time, you have your 80 hours of holiday a year. You've got imagine your comp time stays fairly close
Yep.
to max, if not.
Yep.
That's
Because we help with the boxing gym, where we're always out at the boxing gym. That's comp only. Explorers is comp only. So they get time built up. So,
Yeah.
you know, and not only that, these guys are running with all the school events. Like right now, football's starting up, volleyball's starting up. You know, all the sports are going to start picking up now, and it's nothing for them to be at work 14, 15 hours.
Right.
And
Several days a week.
So all events with school campuses, there has to be an SRO present.
Yes. So any UIL sport, it's UIL rules that an ARP guard needs to be there. And so even for like a football scrimmage, we've got a football scrimmage this Thursday and Friday. We're going to have 5 to 6 officers at each of those. Normally during regular games, we're going to have 8 to 12 officers. And then again, you're going to have school events at elementary schools. You're going to have school events at middle schools. You're going to have volleyball going on. These guys still, Grand Prairie, it's actually really cool. We're we're the only one that I know of yet in the Metroplex that still travels with their teams.
Really?
So, and even on weekends, so like during softball and baseball, they have weekend tournaments.
Yeah.
It could be out in Crowley. The SROs are working 6 days a week because they're running out to Crowley and spending all day at a softball or baseball tournament. So I'm happy that our district still does that.
Yeah.
So we follow the buses out and make sure that no matter where they're at,
Yeah.
that we've got them covered. So
Yeah, because we're at games and where we're traveling, and you'll get the administrator ask because they don't have officers, right? So they'll say, "Are you here for the game?" And we're like, "Yeah, but we're here with Grand Prairie." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, y'all send an officer with your team?" And we're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of schools surprisingly that don't. And I think there's a benefit to there, right? So if there's a situation with our kids at an away game and we know our kids, right? And so it benefits the school to have us there because you send your kids, and if there's an incident, now that officer doesn't have a relationship with your team or your coaches. And, there's been games where, our parents are in the stands, say, for example, basketball, where our parents are a little rowdy. And so because we have that relationship with the parent, I can go over there and be like, hey, please don't make us walk you out.
Yeah.
And because that respect is mutual, that parent's going to sit down versus is like another officer that may not have had an interaction with them go and, however that interaction goes, that parent may be a little bit more reluctant to follow the rules. For us, it's just like, Miss Jones, sit down. And she's like, all right, Officer Scott, So that benefits the ISD, I think, to have us there.
And the SROs have a love and interest in their vested interest in the kids. So that's like, I want to make sure my kids are safe. So,
well, and from an evidentiary perspective as well, it's God forbid something were to happen involving a student where ISD or our chain of command has a vested interest. They can, because what the camera system we use, within a couple hours they can actually physically review that themselves, as opposed to put in a request to another department, or subpoena or whatever the case is.
yeah, and there's and what events we send SROs to will kind of ebb and flow with what's going on around us. Like there was a time where we didn't, the ISD didn't care to send us to like track events and stuff like that. And then the issue happened up in Frisco, and then it was like, hey, I immediately sent everybody an email and said, hey, from here on out, we're going to track events.
Yeah.
So, and even bad shit can happen anytime. I get it.
For sure.
But there is a huge benefit that, like, the parents love seeing us.
Yeah.
The parents love the fact that their kids are going, to whatever it might be, out of town, and they know that a squad car is following their kid all the way to the game and all the way back.
Yeah.
So that's a huge benefit to the parents, too.
Well, and to I wouldn't venture so far as to say a copycat, but certainly once certain types of events take a position in the public consciousness, like movie theaters, for instance, several years ago, they had issues in movie theaters, and you had other things started to happen. Once people are aware that, hey, can be a spotlight, some people just want to act a fool.
Yeah.
So I think it's real important that we respond and get coverage on certain things.
Yeah, and the hope is that we're not just chasing the laser dot. You know what I mean?
Sure.
We don't want to just chase the hot button stuff.
Yeah.
We hope that we have a good enough program already in place that, okay, yeah, something happened in Frisco, but we already have it covered. Like, we don't have to worry about that. We have that covered.
Yeah. But how much of it though is that kind of peace of mind for the parents, like you said, where it's like, hey, how many times have we been on like an accident? It's like someone's like, I'm waiting for a ride. Can you just wait here with me? And that one part of your brain is like, no, there's like 15 more calls for me to answer. But then you think it's fine.
Yeah.
It's a couple minutes. It's going to make the person feel better.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of what y'all do is kind of that too, where it's like, I know that we're good, but the peace of mind is probably invaluable.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I know that and my kids' stuff, it's huge comfort.
Absolutely.
It's a huge comfort.
Well, do you have any? Y'all crossed everything off my list.
Yeah,
so.
it's on the list.
Most of which I didn't have to ask.
Random. We talked about athletics. What about band things? Because I'm a former band geek. So do you travel with the band as well?
Well, the band travels
because they're going to go
football.
with the team. Yeah.
So
okay.
they're part of that, right? So since they're at football.
And I'm going to date myself. So I was a band during the whole drumline thing. So we would go to places like, Houston, and it would turn into fights.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, we don't have anybody to protect me. Yeah, I know, it's so perfect, but it was serious, okay? It was during drumline. That was just random.
See, I like the way I grew up. I
Band
like to go to traditional school, so like I'm learning so much. Like my wife recently found out I'd never seen drumline because I'm trying to learn the drums for the honor guard, and she's like, well, like she said mentioned in the movie. I was like, yeah, I never saw that. She's like,
What's
what?
drumline?
Like who did I marry? Yeah. I was like, but then it's funny. My son, my 11-year-old, he's an athlete. Like he's a dude's dude. He's a multi-sport athlete. He's talking about wanting to get involved in MMA now. This kid, the thing he's most excited about this school year is he's been chosen to play the clarinet. And he is so pumped about this, and all the kids are talking shit to him, and he could not care less. He's just like, I don't care. I'm one of the best ones at it. It's like, you know what, buddy? Good for you.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be the best at it.
Shout out clarinet. Hey, that's hilarious.
Well, I guess y'all have any parting words of wisdom for students, parents, or I guess, or even any potential police officers out there who might be looking at this role as something they'd be interested in?
I will say, for all our parents and kids, it's a new school year upon us. Grand Prairie SRO unit is looking to do the same thing we've always done, keep our kids and our community safe, providing a high level of service to Grand Prairie ISD, and continuing to build and bridge that relationship. For new officers, the standards are being set, and so we, coming into this unit, it is a high standard I think Sergeant Stelter is looking to set. And I think that's just the way things are trending, right? For us being SROs in this school is no longer a position where it's just community policing. You are in a position where in the event someone comes through your door, you are ready, like you said, to kick that door open. Mm-hmm. And so having that high level of thinking is something that we, I think, are looking for an officer to come in and, step into that standard. And I think me as an SRO, you walk the hallways and you're looking at your exit points. You're looking at, hey, if someone walks through around that corner, what is my next move? Right. That's the mindset, unfortunately, I think as SROs that you should have in this position.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say definitely don't overlook it. It's not, SRO is, again, I think SRO will always kind of have that little bit of a stigma to it, but my hope is that the school resource unit becomes a place where, people really want to go because they know they're going to get excellent training. Mm-hmm. They know that they're going to have a cool opportunity to, I'll be honest, I really didn't view myself as a community policing type of officer, really caring about that. I remember being in majors and, I got off all the holidays, all the weekends, all the perks, and the one night a year that I had to go spend 2 hours at National Night Out was like, just how could they do this to us? And it's actually awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's actually it's nice to see, and I don't know if it's with age or what it is, but
I've learned the same thing.
It's just it's nice to be able to go talk to people that want to talk to you, that respect you. Yeah. You can learn a lot. Like, it's just fun. Yeah. It is. It's a lot of fun, and it's not corny. I know it sounds corny, but SRO is not. And SRO is like, hey, it's a place where I'm happy to send you to training. Like, if you've got aspirations to go to major crimes or whatever, if I can loosely tie it to SRO, then I'll get you the training, and then it'll set you up for to go somewhere else. But we definitely are looking for people that have that blend of I can talk and create some relationships, but I will exercise some violence when I need to. Yeah.
So we do work.
We do. Oh, people think we don't work. We're quiet, but we're
like, someone's trying to talk shit.
We're working.
Yes, working.
Oh, we're working. There's a lot of work.
Well, we appreciate y'all taking the time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you to whoever's covering for y'all. All right, guys. Well, till next time.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.